What's going on, everyone? We just wanted to take a second to thank you for all your support so far. It means the world to us. Also wanted to give a special shout out to our partner and friends at Mahon River Farm. They are your local source of pasture-raised poultry. Make sure to give my buddies Alex and Tom a call and arrange a time to check out their farm and pick up some meat for the freezer. No steroids, no hormones, just all natural chickens. Give them a follow on Facebook and tell them we sent you. Next shout out goes to the Hometown Advantage podcast. They're a big supporter of this show. They're your local sports podcast here in Cecil and Hartford County, shining light on all the youth athletics and high school athletics in this area. So make sure you give them a follow on Spotify, like them, rate them, download them. Also hit them on YouTube and give them a like and a subscribe over there and help those guys grow. Thanks for tuning in to the Upper Bay Podcast. All right, we're rolling. It's the Upper Bay Podcast. You find us on Spotify, YouTube, do all the things, like, rate, download, subscribe. He is back in the house, the Longbeard Professor. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man.
It's
busy.
I told you we were going to get you in here as soon as turkey season was over, and we hit it right on the dime because it ended today. Maryland is done. I went 0 times. I'm okay with that, I guess. It was grueling watching everybody kill him, but me. But
not everybody.
Well, that's true. Us three might have got the reward for worst turkey hunters in Maryland this year.
Know. Dan?
Yeah, him too.
Dan went?
He did. He went
Did he?
Twice?
Maybe more than that.
Maybe?
3?
Yeah, not much, but I know he's going to listen to this, but he only sat till like 8 o'clock each time he went. I swear to God, he sent me a snap at like, him on the way there, and then he sent me another snap, him driving home, and it was like 8:30. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, that's what sucked about the day me and you went, Mason.
Yeah.
Because I had to go to work.
Yeah.
I had to be there at 9, so I'm like, I was still late, but that's why I told you I hate going when I got to do something later in the morning, because half the time you'll finally get one gobbling or something, and then you got to leave.
Right.
Or you're just irresponsible like me and just don't leave.
Well, I just got called because I was asleep.
You were asleep that morning? You sleeping in?
Yeah, I called him and woke him up.
I had like 5 missed calls.
He's like, I'm almost there. I'm like, yeah, bullshit. You just
crawling out of bed. I love that one. Yeah, I'm on the way, man. I'm on the way.
We've all been there.
Oh yeah. But so you're back from Missouri. How was it, man?
It was good. It's always a good time, but turkey hunting was hard, man.
Was it?
It was like 86 degrees and windy every day.
That's rough, man.
Which did not help anything.
I'm assuming that's like oddly hot for there at this time of year.
Yeah, I mean the one year I was out there, it snowed.
Oh, really?
One night, yeah.
Damn, man, that's rough. Did you guys have some good people come and hunt with you all this year?
Yeah. The crew was, everyone that came out was awesome.
Yeah,
we had a great time, like I said, but it was just the turkey hunting side of things was just tough.
Right.
There were 2 birds killed, but it was the one guy, Nate, who guides out there too, really good turkey hunter, and he got on one the first morning and they came real close, and then I knew the next morning because he knew where he was at, he was going to get him, and they shot him, and then I think there was one other one that came in quiet on a food plot.
Oh, really?
But they didn't
times,
gobble
at least.
much. Yeah, both were Longbeards.
Yeah,
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, that's good, man. That sucks. It was, weather-wise, it sucked. But, I mean, did they just not gobble at all?
Well, it was a combination of that and then my little honey hole, I like to call it.
Right.
I showed up there to roost one the night before season opened, and I pull up there. I'm like, man, these woods look thin. And then I come back to camp. One gobbled like on the neighboring property that we couldn't hunt, but I was like, well, we can try to call him over. And then I went back to camp, and they were like, yeah, they're logging back there. So I went back in there the first morning, and it was like,
That sucks.
flat.
Right.
Where, I mean, in literally like a 300-yard circle, we'd killed 2 birds in there and had 2 or 3 misses like in that same little circle.
That sucks,
cut
man.
down.
Yeah, I mean, that'll do it. That sucks. So what'd you spend? So how many weeks were you out there total? Was it a month?
No, I was only there for We hunted 4 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was there from Saturday to. I left Friday morning.
Shit, I don't know why I thought you were there for.
Well, you were in Florida.
Yeah, I was
right?
on a bachelor trip in Florida.
Oh, okay. Because that's what it was. Because at one point I texted you and you still weren't home yet.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it was real long.
Yeah, I flew in from Florida to BWI, landed like 9:30 in the morning. My parents brought my truck and my dog down and got straight in the truck and drove 14 and a half
You
hours.
took the dog with you.
Yeah, she comes with me every year.
Oh, nice.
That
So
thing's
is it
huge.
like a lodge there? Do they have like a whole lodge set
they
up and
have
everything?
They have the main lodge, and then there's, I don't even know how many cabins. There's probably 5 cabins
Okay.
that the hunters stay in and whatever. And
Right.
I sleep in a tiny house. It's on a trailer. It's pretty sweet.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah.
That's probably better than sleeping in a tent in rattlesnake country.
Well, I mean, there's rattlesnakes out there.
Yeah.
The one guy, the week before we got there, saw a giant one. And he was looking for
big
morels.
timber,
Yeah.
big timber rather. I was just listening to somebody talking about those things down in West Virginia. I am glad we don't have them up here, man. Snakes don't bother me at all. Like I'm not scared of them or nothing, but I do not want to sit down next to a tree, start working a turkey, and look over there and see a big old rattler
I'm
crawled up next to
terrified
me.
of snakes. I hate snakes.
I don't mind them.
Dude, I'm the biggest sissy when it comes to snakes.
It probably doesn't bother me because we don't have like anything crazy here, you know.
Yeah. I don't like spiders, though.
You don't like spiders? Are
you serious?
Sissy
Hell
boy.
no.
You're a little sissy boy.
Spiders don't bother me.
I hate them.
I mean, we do have copperheads here, but they're not.
Right,
It's
yeah,
rare.
certain parts,
Like
yeah,
people
very.
always say, "Oh, I saw a copperhead." And
You saw a common water
you probably saw a northern water snake. Is what you saw.
Right.
But
I love those
I've
pictures
seen-
online.
I've seen one copperhead my whole life living here.
Dude,
Cecil?
Yeah.
I've seen one in Cecil too, and I've seen some out in Western Maryland. But I've seen actually quite a few up in like Wilmington, up there
Yeah.
in like Brandywine area.
They like the rocky kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's super rocky up there. But yeah, so I got off track there. But yeah, that
Yeah.
sucks, man. It sucks that it was a rough one. I mean, were the guys that you were taking, were they, disappointed in the way it went?
No, I had a lady with me. She was
Okay.
cool as hell.
She a
But,
vet?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was a trooper because the first day I got there, they said, "Who wants to walk?" And her and one other guy raised their hand, and I walked her 7 miles the first day, I think, and that's up and down hills.
Wow.
It's not flat
Dang.
country.
Yeah.
And she was right there on my heels every time, and she was a trooper. But,
That's awesome. Is she an older lady?
Nah, she was in her 30s, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But,
That's cool. That's cool. She was willing to push
Yeah.
through with you.
Yeah, she didn't care. She was like, "I just do whatever we got to do to get on one." So.
Right. The other thing, and I don't know if we covered it last time, but are those hunts donated?
Yeah, so everything is for the hunters that come out. Everything is expenses paid for.
Okay.
There's no cost to the hunter at all.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
it's-
wasn't sure how that worked.
Yeah,
I
the
wasn't
whole,
sure if we
the whole
covered it.
camp is a nonprofit, so they run off
Okay.
purely donations.
That's
You know?
awesome, man. That's a good program to be a part of.
No, they do a great job out there.
Yeah, that's cool. That you, and like I know we said it last time too, but it's cool that you dedicate your time to do that. I'm sure that all those people over the years have really appreciated that.
Yeah, but I mean, I get just as much out of it as any hunter coming in there.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's sick, man. So you struggled there, and then you come back to Maryland, and you struggled here too.
I did, because I only went one time. I decided to be an adult this year and work and not turkey hunt every day. So
That's not fun, man.
No,
What'd you do that
sucks.
for?
Come on.
I don't know.
That's not fun at all.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I made worse choices, but
That's
yeah.
the joys of being an adult, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
it sucks.
that's just why I didn't.
And the other thing too was the weather this spring was horrible.
yeah, it wasn't great.
It rained
It did rain
like
a lot, huh?
every
Yeah.
damn day.
Right.
A lot of cloudy days, too.
Yeah,
Literally
cloudy,
the one
rainy.
day I was gonna go, it rained, and I was
Yeah.
like, it was like one of those things. Like I probably should have went, but I hate wet birds, man.
Yeah.
I hate wet birds.
Where it would look like it was going to be a wash. Like the one
Yeah.
Saturday, me and you were going to go after we went earlier in the week.
Yep.
It looked like it was going to be a wash, and then I wake up, not a cloud in the sky, sunny,
Right.
no wind,
Perfect.
everything was perfect.
Yep.
So
Did you do any scouting for other people while you were here, even though you didn't go?
no, really,
So
I
no-
didn't do anything. I went and tried to roost one night, spot that normally holds them, and I didn't hear anything.
Really?
Doesn't mean they're not there. But,
Right.
You know,
I actually saw, and I was texting you early, but I saw a bunch of birds early when I was sending you those
Yeah.
videos. Man, that was end of March, I guess it was. It was because that was down in Delaware, and Delaware it was still 2 or 3 weeks before Delaware opened, and I believe they opened before us.
Yeah, they're early there.
Yeah, but those birds, they were flocked up big time, and there was like one Jake in that group, and then one big strutter, and he was strutted up every single time in that field.
Yep.
I mean, those birds were super killable. Every time I drove down, it was like 8 o'clock on the dot. There's 20 hens were in the field, and that Jake was with them, and that big old strutter was with them every day, man.
It was weird. I think this year, like out in Missouri, I saw a couple like lone hens early, which normally the hens will, if they're still like early in the breeding process, the hens will pitch down and get up with gobblers.
Yeah.
Every hen that we saw was, and other people I talked to that were hunting out there too, were alone, or there'd be 3 hens all by themselves. So it made me kind of think that they were kind of done.
They went
the
early,
majority
too,
of the
I feel
breeding.
like.
Right. Yeah, and I guess that could happen with it being so warm, right?
It could, but the way I saw it here, I figured everything was going to be a little later because they were so flocked up.
Right.
I mean, we saw a week before the season flocks of 20 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
You normally don't see that.
Yeah, when I saw those ones down there flocked up, that was surprising to me because that's usually like a winter thing.
Yeah.
You know?
We did see a bobcat out there. That was cool.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Are you allowed to shoot them?
Bobcat season wasn't in.
Okay.
But it was like probably 15 yards from us walking along.
Wow.
But that's
that
another
would
topic
have
we can
made
get
a
into.
trip for me right there.
It was cool. I didn't realize how big they were.
Right.
I thought they were like small, like fox size.
Yeah, or like house cat size. That's like what I imagine too. You know?
They're bigger than that.
Well, I've heard they can take down an adult deer. They're
Shoot.
really. I've heard that they're really aggressive, like way more aggressive than a coyote or anything.
Yeah, I mean, talking to the guys that live out there that were local said that they're becoming a huge problem for the turkeys now
Right, that's what I've heard.
because they're like the apex predator around. They're silent.
right.
That the only reason I even knew that thing was there was because blue jays started going off,
Oh, really?
and I turned around where they were coming from and I saw like a little shrub move, and then I saw it walking on the log.
Wow.
That's wild.
They
man.
are silent walking through the leaves.
Oh, I bet, man. They're just little agile suckers.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how quiet and agile a cat is, a house cat.
Yeah.
I mean, they can
They're
take off
fat.
running. They can take off running on you and you don't even hear it.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. But I've heard that they're getting worse and worse and worse. And the seasons, and I don't know the season for Missouri specifically, but a lot of like the Midwest states, like it's either you get a certain season for them and you're only allowed to kill one, or it's open all the time, but you're still only allowed to kill one. And
Yeah.
it needs to be like everybody's complaining, saying that it needs to be open to like, it's meant to kill them just like foxes and coyotes and stuff. Like you need to be able to hunt them just like that.
I mean, here's the same way. They need to just open up or get rid of all restrictions on predation
Yeah.
Right.
for predators,
Coyotes.
and trap them all, kill them all, because when you look at deer populations, turkeys, even waterfowl too,
Yeah.
I mean, they're not doing any good.
What do you think they're hurting the waterfowl?
They're,
I guarantee you that's probably the biggest.
Really?
right.
That just habitat loss is probably the biggest factors to waterfowl.
What do they get? Like their eggs? Like foxes will get their
Yeah.
eggs?
Yeah.
Well,
The raccoons, wild possums.
skunks, raccoons.
Really?
Yeah.
I watched a video today. Maybe you sent it to me.
Was it a gray fox killing a turkey?
No, it was a skunk killing a fawn, a fresh
Really?
fawn.
Skunk?
A skunk. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the fawn. It was obviously a fresh fawn because it was just laying there. It couldn't
Yeah.
get up,
That's
and that
weird.
skunk was just going to town on it, dude.
I saw one the other day. Someone posted it was a gray fox that came up and snuck up on a hen laying on a nest and just bit it by the neck and shook it a couple times and it was done.
Ugh. God damn, man. Nature is rough.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. That's why I said it's a miracle that there's any turkeys around. 'Cause there's-
Yeah.
I mean,
But dude, I've heard this year specifically, I've heard so many people complain about the population being way down. Not specifically in Maryland, but just in general.
yeah.
And I'm sure, I mean, I would imagine some parts of Maryland are feeling it too, but especially out like Midwest out there, I think they're really feeling it. There's
Yeah.
a lot of guys saying that the population is way down because of the whole predation thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that and just habitat loss.
Right.
You look at like how many, well, for example, my dad grew up in South Jersey. And he'd be, we drive by a shopping center, a mall or something, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I used to find arrowheads in that field when I was
Right.
younger."
Yeah.
I'm like, "That's a mall," like, and you can't fathom it, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
changed a lot.
Yeah, it
Even
sucks,
here,
man.
building up on everything. Go down Old Field Point Road where I live. That all used to be woods and fields, and now it's all neighborhoods, and they're building more neighborhoods on the fields that are left.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
It sucks, man. I mean, my old deer farm in Centerville, beautiful farm, beautiful, and it sold because it's about to be a development too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what the hell, man.
Sucks.
what's going to be left in 50 years, you know?
I think about that all the time, dude. Like, land loss is the biggest aspect of like why hunting is getting harder and harder and harder, and it's just like, what do you do? I
Nothing
mean, the
we
only
can.
the only thing you can do is buy a farm and never sell that thing, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally the only thing you can do.
I mean, even properties now that are like, I know one specifically that has houses in the front of it, but the back where the turkeys always were, like there's nothing there still. But
Right.
I think it's just the human presence
Yeah.
being around all the time. They don't like,
Right.
because where I was in Missouri, they were logging it, so there was trucks coming in and out of that road all the time, even though they weren't still actively logging that area.
Right.
There's trucks running around. Up further in the woods, there was guys walking around cutting trees down with chainsaws and stuff,
Yeah.
and just that human presence and everything. They don't seem to like that.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks, man. I mean, you got a good view of it when we go up to Maine.
Yeah.
It is crazy up there because
Yeah,
I mean,
it
where
is.
we moose hunted, it was all logged. It's
Yep.
crazy how much they take from up there.
Yeah, it is insane.
It's like, how does it, and it's amazing that things still live up there. It's just
Yep.
wild, dude. I don't.
I mean, that logging for turkeys anyway isn't necessarily bad. I mean, now these guys took kind of everything out, but in a year or two, when you get saplings starting to grow back up
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
high stem count stuff,
Right.
that's good nesting cover and brooding habitat. But then it gets to a point, and it's good habitat for a couple of years, and then once it gets to the trees grow up a little bit, then it's kind of nothing for them.
Right.
There's no
Yeah, I
cover
guess
or
so.
anything.
Yeah, and I mean, they're probably. I would think that they're probably putting something back in the ground. I think by law they have to. It's probably like autumn olive or something like
I
that.
have no idea.
But which would probably be fine. But it's going to take 2-3 years for it to get up enough to make any kind of cover
Yeah.
for them. And even for the deer too. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's just one of those things. It sucks what's happening. And going back to the land thing, like I feel like the government's making it so, and this is all like conspiracy bullshit, but I think like the government's making it harder and harder and harder, like on these farmers and stuff, so that they do sell for
100%.
developments. Like
I don't trust the government in anything they say or do, so
right,
I wouldn't put it past them.
right, exactly. It's like because like some of these old time farmers, like it's probably so expensive to farm, like they get an offer for a couple million on their land, they're like sure.
Yeah, I mean, they can
It's an
retire
out.
off that.
Yeah,
Why would they?
It's an out.
Yep.
They take that and they don't have to work anymore.
Right. Yeah. It sucks, man.
Yeah, it's a shame. I know one guy firsthand, buddy of mine, and he's kind of the same boat. It's just the grain prices are down, the cost of everything else is up. I mean, how do you make it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It sucks, man. Just sucks where it's going. But
Yeah.
yeah, so let's get back to turkeys. Let's get back. Sorry for the got a little off pace there, but so I know you only went, but you went several times, and it's funny that you say the thing about the hens because every time you went, I feel like you were running into that problem where there
Yeah.
was a lot of hens out on their own, but no toms or
Which is
or
weird.
jakes
Because I've
with
never
them.
seen that
Yeah.
before.
Right.
Just later stage in the breeding process, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that
like-
one we had, that was crazy.
I've never seen
Had-
anything like it.
We had a hen come in gobbling.
Yeah, he texted me about that. What did that sound like?
It was goofy.
Was
and I
it?
knew as soon as, because
Did it sound like a jake?
it like way different than a Jake. Like
Really?
I
quieter.
don't even know how to
and
describe it.
Higher pitched. Yeah, it was different.
It sounded like somebody trying to gobble.
Yeah, it was
like a
the
person.
second time I've ever seen that happen, and we moved a little bit closer to where the gobblers were, and they went quiet on us. So I tried cutting and getting loud to try to get them to gobble at least so we could move on them.
Right.
And then the hen gobbled, and so we spun around the tree and faced where she was coming from, and then came up the hill, and then it was straight to my right, 90 degrees, and he was like, to your right, to your right. So I spun over to the right, and I'm like, it's a hen. And then we're waiting for a gobbler to come out, and then it starts clucking, purring and stuff, and it comes up to the decoy and then walks off.
Really?
So I yelped at it real soft to try to get it to come back because I've had it before where the hen comes in and the gobbler's still sitting behind.
Right.
The thing gobbles, and I'm like,
Wow.
It's like,
Oh,
I
shit.
didn't even know they gobbled.
yeah, they will. And it came up to the decoy, started gobbling, and then it gobbled, I don't know, 30 times?
Yep,
At
at
least.
least, yeah.
Wow.
Every time you called to it, it was gobbling, double gobbling and stuff. And I mean, it came, 10 yards from us?
Yeah.
It was 100% a hen.
That
But
is
it wasn't a jig.
crazy,
It had a
dude.
gray head, everything.
Did it
was
have a
hen.
beard?
No.
No.
And
Not
she came like
any-
running in.
Yeah,
Because she hollered all forward first.
Yeah, I mean, it came in quick.
I wonder what that is. Is it? You think that's like that hen had some higher like, I guess testosterone levels,
I had two
or is it
theories
just like
on
a
it.
dominance thing?
So I after that hunt, I looked up why hens gobble, and the one thing I found was it's like when they need to be more dominant.
Mm.
But my theory on it was because we didn't hear any hens on the roost or anything,
No.
didn't hear one fly down. I think my two theories is she was just pissed off that there was another hen making a bunch of ruckus that came in,
Right.
or she was sitting on a nest somewhere close by, and when she heard me cutting and everything, she was like, "Hey, you need to quiet down," and tried to. Here's my theory on it, not proven or anything, but I
Right.
think she came in because she came up to that decoy and was gobbling and started walking off. And then when I kept calling, she came back. I think she was trying to drag that hen
Right.
away from her
the
nest.
nest.
Oh.
That's probably a good
Kind of
theory.
acting like a gobbler to an
Yeah.
extent, but
Yeah, that's probably great. I mean,
because she
I think
came
it
right
makes
up to the
sense.
decoy. She didn't beat up on the decoy or anything, but
Right.
she was trying to. It seemed like she was trying to drag it.
Yeah.
Because then she came around again behind us and then went up. You saw it.
Yeah.
Came around up the hill,
Circled us.
sitting there, stop, would look at that hen, keep gobbling, and then walk up.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
crazy. That's a good theory. I mean, it makes sense that that a hen would do that, to try
Yeah.
and pull you away from the nest.
Yeah.
I've never heard one gobble, and that's wild. And I've heard of hens with beards.
Yeah.
They can get a small beard. So I just assumed when he told me that, I was like, it's got to be like a similar. And I don't know what causes the hens to grow a beard, but I got to imagine it's like a higher testosterone level
I don't know. It's probably
in the hen.
genetic.
Just kind of like a like. You think it's genetic?
Probably because it's like multiple beards on gobblers.
Right.
Yeah.
It's certain
Yeah.
gene
What
pools.
causes that? Do you know the multiple beards?
That's got to be genetics too.
You think?
Yeah.
I didn't
I mean,
know if it was like an age thing. Like once they hit a certain
No.
age, they can start throwing multiple beards.
Might be like a deer growing a drop tine.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like
You
South Jersey, where I turkey hunt over there, I killed. I don't even know how many turkeys over there, and probably half of them had multiple beards.
Wow.
2, 3. My one buddy, he killed the second biggest bird registered in the state, had 6.
Holy
And
crap!
that was on one of the farms.
What
we
did that
hunted.
bird weigh?
24, I think.
It's a
it
big
had
bird.
big spurs and then 6 beards. I mean,
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I've seen a picture. I don't know if I think it had 8 beards, but it was like a staircase. Like the first one was
Yeah.
like real long, and then they got
Yep.
like repeatedly
That's how it
smaller.
was.
Yeah, it was like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, dude. Turkeys are so cool, man.
that's when I saw it when it came in. There were 6 longbeards came in that day, and I killed one on that farm that morning.
Oh, really?
And then he was with my dad on another property, and then we were like, well, there was other birds gobbling, so let's go back here. So we all walked in there. It was 4 of us, and struck them up, and then we sit down, and they're coming, and then the last bird that came, there was a log they kind of like squatted under.
Mm-hmm.
And when that thing came and stretched up, I was like, holy shit.
You
man,
just see 'em all.
He shot it, yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, it was like looked like a bush coming out of its chest. It was crazy.
They talk about paintbrushes, ball. You ain't never
Yeah.
seen a bush.
Yeah. He's got it mounted too, so
Oh, that's
I see it all the
cool.
time.
yeah, if I shot that, I'm definitely getting a full body mount. I
Yeah.
don't care how expensive that
Not
is.
many taxidermists want to do them now.
Oh, yeah,
a lot
I
of
know.
guys are getting out of them.
Yeah, I'm actually in talks with a guy down in like Cambridge area or Dorchester County, and he's a taxidermist. And yeah, every year when it comes turkey season, he's like, I'm only taking like 6 birds,
Yeah,
like all
or
I
they'll
want.
do fans or something.
Right? Yeah,
I don't even keep the fans anymore.
yeah. I've
Just too
lost a
much.
couple. Like I've got a couple here, but like I've obviously killed more birds than these 5 here.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like
I keep the spurs, and that's about it.
Yeah. I used to have a really cool necklace somewhere, and I don't know where it ended up, but it had like all the spurs on it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
My
that's-
dad made it for me.
I started doing that a couple years ago. I wish I would have done it my whole life because I would have
Right.
had a pretty cool necklace by now. But
like look like an Indian war chief.
yeah,
Look
I
at your
know.
headdress.
Where
I
did your
know I
compass
did.
land?
I had that, I had that hanging, and then like a few pintail sprigs hanging on that. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Just walk in front of one of Dan's cameras with turkeys.
What'd you say?
Walk in front of one of Dan's cameras with turkey
Just
season.
blinging out all your spurs.
Going native.
No shirt on. Shit, that's funny.
I'll leave the deer to walk in front of Dan's cameras, and I'll just shoot him for him.
Poor guy's not even here to defend himself.
Oh man, Bo told me about that. I thought that was hilarious.
I checked that camera and that was like the first deer I saw. And it was the only deer. It's disappointing.
I don't know if I know that story. You shot, so Dan had a
Yeah, he had a buck on camera,
and then you went in there and just blasted it.
It was it velvet?
Yeah,
I don't
so
remember.
Hunter shot the deer and then I was in there shed hunting. So I went in to check the camera and Hunter's deer was on and it was like the only good buck.
Mm.
And Hunter's has triple brow tine, so it's pretty.
Oh shit!
Pretty
Did it really?
unique.
Yeah.
2 on one side or 3 on one side?
3 on one side.
3.
Right?
Yeah, it's a 10. It's got 4 on one side, 6 points on the other.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
I didn't
Yeah.
score it.
Did it? Was it
Yeah.
one base, then it split off into 3?
Yeah, it was right at the. I mean, you can't even fit your hand around the base because those other brows coming off make it so wide.
Oh shit, that's a good deer.
Yeah, it was.
Did you score it?
I haven't yet. I need to.
No, he's probably high 120s, I'd say. He's nothing.
Probably
Crazy.
30.
Was it in velvet when you shot it, or was it late? You
I shot it
right?
November 9th, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
And that was like 200 yards from where my girlfriend missed a turkey a few years ago.
Oh,
Yeah. It's funny. It was a Jake, but it came in
Right.
strutting and gobbling, put on the whole show, and
that's awesome.
my dad was videoing it.
Yeah.
And I mean, he barely got the turkey in the video, but the whole time the camera was just shaking. But
That's
That
out.
was
I
cool.
got a video of my buddy killing his first one, and it's like I was like holding the camera like this, and I
Yeah.
wasn't shaking, but I was like, he was behind a tree, and I'm like, don't shoot, he's behind the tree. And as soon as it came out, I'm like, okay, I'm good. But I wasn't expecting the shot, so when he shot it, like jumped like this,
Yeah.
because it scared me. So the camera's like up, down.
Yeah.
like and then, like I'm trying to find the bird, and it's just on the ground flapping.
it happens.
Yeah,
We did in Missouri, we had one kind of close encounter. We came up this hill where there was, the year before, we had one do the same thing. It was in the same exact spot. Well, I came up the hill and I saw it. I saw its fan. And I told the guy who was with me, I was like, hey, get to this tree over here. That's a dead turkey. I mean, he's 80 yards from us. All he's got to do is cut the distance down a little bit.
right.
Said, just don't crack any twigs or anything. Be quiet. Get over there. Well, first step he took, he snapped the twig, and I saw a hen hauling ass. But so then this year, we came up the hill, and there was a bunch of fresh scratching, and that was the only fresh scratching I saw in the. I mean, we walked like 20 or 30 miles, and so I knew they were in that area, and I was like, let's get up here. As soon as we get right before it flattens out, I'm gonna call. And yelped, and I didn't get 2 notes out in that yelp, and he gobbled, and he was like 100 yards, and I'm like, oh, we got him.
Right.
Yeah.
We sat down, and I didn't like where we were sitting because we were both sitting on the same tree, and it was small. And I have had times where they'll pop their head up, and then they see you. You're like kind of not skylighted, but
Yeah.
they can pick you out on that tree.
Right.
So he was still. I knew he couldn't see us, so I was like, let's move up here. We went like 10 yards further up, sat down, yelped again. He gobbled, and he was a little bit closer. And then I went quiet for a minute, and then I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes later, yelped again, and he was like 250 yards away, 300 yards away, going off. So I don't know if he had hens with him and they drug him
They're
off.
pulling him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it sucked because we couldn't move. We were right on the property line, so we couldn't move over to
Over,
where,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
That sucks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I've been in a lot of those spots. Like we had one farm that was loaded with turkeys, and I heard it. Like I heard them on the roost all morning. They got down, dead silent, right? But I knew they couldn't
Yeah.
go far, and I was pretty close to where they were roosting, and I'm waiting. It was like 11 o'clock, and they sound off, and I snuck in, and I could see they were on the neighbor's property in a clear cut, and man, they just would never close the distance, dude.
Yep.
Just never. They do not budge. They would gobble every time I would yelp. They would gobble back, answer you and stuff, and they just would not close the distance. They are so freaking stubborn.
What's the saying? I heard someone say it, older guy. He said, make him move his feet, not his beak.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because, I mean, you can be in the woods and scream and they'll yell at you. Or
Right.
they'll gobble at you. But, yeah, just because they're gobbling doesn't mean they're going to come to you.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah, it's tough. And that's the tough call. Is like when people hear that, it's like that's the challenging part about turkey hunting. It's like, okay, what do I do now? It's like,
well, and then
do I sit here and wait?
When you
Do
get
I
in that
move?
situation, like you're saying, when you get in that situation where he's 125 yards from you, but I need to get to a better hide, he's going to pop his head up and he's going to peg me.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you got to go, all right, can I move to get, or do I try it here? Like we had that problem
Yeah.
because I figured he brought me down in where they were, and there was 2 fingers that came out over this like creek bottom, and I figured they were on one of the 2 fingers, and then we stopped, and literally as soon as we stopped, they gobbled, and they were on the finger, the one finger, and I figured they were going to pitch out and go on the other finger, go across that thick bottom and get,
Yep.
and I mean they did, but they wouldn't come to the call. But just you got to be patient, because if we would have just barged in there and sat right where they flew down at, we were running a little bit late, but
Yeah.
they would have seen us.
Right.
Yep.
They wouldn't have made a sound, or if we didn't blow them out of the tree, they wouldn't have made a sound, and they would have pitched down the other way.
Yeah,
Right.
probably.
So you're walking that fine line of being
Yeah.
conservative, but you also got to get in there with them too.
Yeah.
Especially when there's hens around.
Yep.
I've made that mistake a lot. When I was younger, I would push right in on the roost, dude.
Yeah.
Like as close as I could get to, because I just thought like, oh, they'll just pitch right down to me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every single time, I would literally just watch them pitch straight away, as far as they could get, and just never hear them again.
I don't know what the deal is, but I've killed way more turkeys later on in the morning, or maybe not late, but they fly down away from you, and then you make an adjustment, sit somewhere else, and then
Right.
then you kill them. But I have killed very few turkeys straight off the limb.
Really?
Yeah. I've also had better luck later in the day too. Usually around like 10:30, 11.
Yeah.
That just seems to be like the magic number. 9:30. I've killed birds at 9:30, and I've killed birds right off the roost too. But I've had better experiences later in the day. And I did want to ask you, because we talked about it a little bit. Like you were thinking about, because Maryland halfway through the season switches to all day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there was a couple times where you were thinking about going in the afternoon. It's like, what is the tactic there? You know what I mean? Like, and I've never hunted the afternoons much, so I didn't really know. But I would assume you'd want to get back in either on a field or back in where you think they're going to roost.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
would
how
get
you
close. Yeah, because we talked about that too. I would get literally under the tree he's going to roost in, and just
Right.
sit there and yelp every 15 minutes or whatnot, because they might not gobble at all in the afternoon,
Right.
depending. I mean, sometimes they go nuts in the tree, in the afternoon. Other times they don't. But for me, anyways, it seems like they don't gobble near as much in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But I would get close to their roost and sit down and post up.
And do you think, like, so if you knew they were roosting, like if let's say you were hunting all day, right? And you found them roosting in the morning in a certain spot, do you think they're coming right back to that evening?
Depends.
Because
I mean,
the
certain
only reason I
places-
ask is because like I would have a hard time trying to figure out like, okay, this is where they're going to roost tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. Like on a bigger property, like where we were at, like you said, they've been in in the same general area, but different spots every time he was in there. Like some of the smaller farms I hunted in Jersey, they literally roost in the same tree every night.
Okay.
So if you go there one morning, they're gobbling in this tree, and then you come back the next morning, they're going to be there again.
Right.
Yeah.
But bigger properties like that, they could move around a little bit, and I don't know what makes them do that.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know if they're just like, oh, it's getting dark now, we got to get up in a tree.
I think it's the
And
wind.
that's why. That definitely has
know
a
you had
factor
said it
to it
before.
in terrain more. But like if it's real windy, even during the daytime, if it's real windy, those turkeys go. It's like deer.
Yeah.
Get down on the bottoms, get away from the wind.
I've never thought about that. I've never hunted the wind like that, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
We had one farm where like when they would roost differently, but when they would roost on our farm, they always roosted in this one specific area, like every single time. But they didn't roost there every day because like you'd go there on a Saturday, and they'd be roosted there, but then the next Saturday they'd be roosted across the street on somebody else's property. But it was like between those two spots.
I think
that's
they
where they
run
always were, and I just
cycles
like
too,
could
especially
never
in the
figure
fall.
out.
In the fall, like I think they run, because like, Connor, he hunted a property like right behind my house, but he would have turkeys on camera for a day, then they'd disappear, and then 3 days later they'd come back or whatever it was. And then my other buddy had same thing. There was like 30 turkeys in the fall, wintertime, and they would be on his camera. And then the next day they'd be on another guy's camera we knew. Same amount. It was like 29.
Right.
And then he'd have 29 turkeys on his camera the next day. And then it was like literally 3 days. Every 3 days those turkeys were there. So I think they kind of like, in the fall it seems like they have like a wider range.
Right.
Like they're moving around more.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably just, I would imagine they're moving around most likely for food because this time of year, their main forage is probably bugs. So, wintertime, there are no bugs. Wow. There's probably grubs and stuff they're pulling out of dead shit. But
the hens kind of run the whole show. If they're, they need to go to a spot that's going to be good, not only nesting habitat, but brooding habitat close by so that poults can eat bugs and grasshoppers, whatever they're going to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you'll see real thick stuff and you're like, oh, that's not good for turkeys. But those gobblers are following the hens around.
Yeah.
Early in the season anyway. And if hen's not going to hang around in open hardwood flat, they're going to go to somewhere thicker. That's why creek bottoms are great places, and they green up faster too.
Right.
In the springtime, creek bottoms will get a lot greener than
a lot of little bugs
higher
down there
up
too.
spots. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's like why you see them in like hay fields a lot too when the hay starts to get up, because they feel more protected in there. Because when they're in those hay fields, like I mean, this time of year, those hay fields, all you can really typically see is just their heads, bobbing around out there, and and there's obviously a lot of bugs and stuff in there too. But
they like them when they're dry. They don't like when they're when it rains.
Right.
They don't like going in those tall grasses, wheat, whatever it is.
Oh, because they get wet.
Yeah, they get soaked. I mean, if you probably walk through them turkey hunting in the spring,
dude, they are
even
just
in the
like
summer.
I hate a wet
Soaks
bird,
you.
man. Apparently, dude, that picture you sent me, that was the ugliest bird I have ever seen. That was a wet bird.
That hen right near where I was working.
The crazy story you were telling me. I don't know if you want to talk about it on here, but
Right.
but that bird.
Yeah.
That was a nasty
I thought
bird.
you were talking about the video that you showed me that you said was the bird I missed.
What?
The bird that I missed.
I
the
did-
bird
I
in the
did.
dude's driveway.
No.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, that one was disgusting. That was just an old haggard bird. But have you seen the video of the bird that ate all the cicadas and they cut the stomach open and they were like all alive in there? That was wild, dude.
Yeah, I mean they eat a lot of bugs. I've seen them eat tadpoles going like you'll see them pecking around in these pond or like little puddles and stuff, and then you go up and it's just full of tadpoles.
Yeah.
They'll eat them. They'll eat little frogs and stuff.
They're just little dinosaurs, man.
Yeah, I mean they're like a glorified chicken.
Right. We asked John Walls this because he's a big turkey hunter too. But do you collect the stones?
I haven't, dude. I never even. I mean, obviously I know that they have the stones in their gizzard, but I never did that.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'd never thought to do that out of all the birds I've killed. And I was like, I've seen some people's videos or pictures where they have like a whole collection. I'm like, damn, that would have been so cool to do.
Buddy, Jason Bradford, he was telling me about it. You're like. He was going to do it. Right. I don't know if he ever did. He killed one this year.
Yeah, shout out to Jason Bradford. I want to get him on here because I know him too. So if you're listening, Jason, and you want to come on, hit me up. He knows a lot, man. He's a good hunter.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. He knows my father-in-law really well. When they were living in Chesapeake City, they were living in one of my father-in-law's apartments.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so Jason's a good dude. So again, if you're listening, Jason, hit me up, bro.
Yeah.
So let's get into your season a little bit, Mason.
It was pretty slow.
But you had great hunts every time, dude.
You learned a lot, which is the biggest thing.
Yeah. I missed the first week, which is normally when I kill a bird, because I was in Maine.
Oh, right,
So
right.
I came back, and my first sit, I didn't. I heard someone on the roost. I was on a private piece, and got them to come out to the field, and they came out like 200 yards from me. And I saw them leave the field, and I wasn't calling much, and I didn't have any decoys out because it was real tall winter wheat. So kind of as the morning went on, I just kept working them. They kept getting closer and closer, and they got to about 35 yards, and there was two gobblers, and I was in a position where I was gonna have to get up to shoot, and I'd never done that before. So I was definitely antsy, and I'd been working them for so long, and the whole time I was calling to him, only the hens would respond. But it was like the hens were following the gobblers, and the gobblers were following the hens to me, which was pretty cool. And I jumped up and I shot, because there was 3 gobblers, and I shot one of them. Shot right over it, and they all flew off.
It's the worst when you gotta wait. Like when I'm turkey hunting or deer hunting, I want it to happen like that, you know, because then you don't gotta think about it.
Yeah.
You just, if you're deer hunting, you just draw back and shoot, or if it's you hear him gobbling and all of a sudden he's just right there in front of you, all you gotta do is put him on and shoot. When you hear him working, or when you see a deer feeding forever and he's slowly coming to you, all that's going through my head is, don't you fuck this up, don't miss this. You know, like it's the same situation.
I normally can keep it, especially with turkeys. Like I'm pretty calm, and then after you get pumped up afterwards. But I totally get it. But to get up and turn around,
I just like don't know what would have been better. Like when you jumped up to shoot, did you just like stand right up and shoot, or did you like have it shouldered and ease your way up?
No, I jumped up.
You just jumped up,
and now I'm like, did I even look down the barrel? But
so anyway, I started blasting.
Just unloading, just walking through the wheat field.
Mowing down wheat.
Poor farmer.
Yeah. Poor guy's gonna go look at his harvest record and go, damn, it's the worst one yet.
Just mowing it for him, man. That's all.
Yeah.
No, it happens. I told you. I said, if you haven't missed one, you haven't shot it enough. Right. It's gonna happen.
Oh yeah. I've missed them. I mean, we talked about it, but thankfully, when I missed mine, like, it was kind of like the same thing. Like, I shot, and I knew I missed him, but he kind of flew off a little bit, and I went after him, and then, like, he flew off again, and I was like, okay, that's enough.
But
and,
you should always look, even, like, with a deer, because I've had birds that have flown off, and you're like, oh, they're not even touched, and then you go down and you find them down the hill, like, always go look for them.
Right.
Because all it takes is one BB to the head.
Exactly. Right. And you did that too, right?
Yeah, so
you went looking for him?
I got right up and went towards where he went, and sure enough, I saw 3 gobblers, and I'm sure that it was the same ones.
Right.
And in hindsight, I should have sat down and shot one, but I was kind of overthinking it, and was like, I want to look it all over first.
Right.
I think I talked about last time the one bird out in Missouri, the guy shot it, and it flew away and hit a tree and died.
Oh yeah. You just
I mean that turkey, I would have bet everything I had that it was fine, and it just flew off. Yeah. And he said, I think it hit the tree and died, and it sure shit did.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah. But when I missed mine, and I was like, mornings. My dad was with me, because I was younger. I'm like, this sucks. Like it's ruined. He's like, wow, we'll be fine. It's still early. Let's sit back in here. Dude, not even sitting back in the blind for 5 minutes. Another one ripped off. And it came right in. I smoked that one,
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one I missed, it was like 10 yards. And I was too short. I couldn't see over this log that was in front of me. So I could see the top of its head coming, and my dad's going, you gotta shoot it. Like, I can't see it. I can't see. He's sitting up higher than me. And it started running off. It busted us, and I shot at it when it was running off. And then I don't know if I knocked it off, but when it flew or took off, there was one feather. And you know what he did? He grabbed that feather and he said, oh, well, you got enough to make soup tonight. Yeah.
That's a good dad. I missed mine with... Okay, ahead, sorry.
No, I missed 2 before I finally killed one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I missed 2. I mean, I was like 8 or something, but yeah, he put up with me, and he was... Every weekend we were going out there trying to get one. Finally did, and then once I got that first one, everything just clicked, and I killed like 12 or something before I missed another one.
Oh wow!
Damn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I killed like 3 or 4 before I missed my first one. But I mean, turkey hunting is like the perfect thing for kids because it's a double-edged sword because it's nice weather, so it's easier to get a kid out there. It's easier to get them to sit longer, but at the same time, like if the birds aren't making any noise or whatever, like they can get bored real fast, so it's like it does suck because my first turkey ever, like we went the night before we roosted them. I went with my dad, and then that next morning they came right in, like right where we saw them, but we were in a ground blind, and they came off like one side and never came around to the decoy, so I could never shoot it. But it was gobbling and stuff, so it's like it was awesome. And then a couple weeks later, like I'm pretty sure the same group of birds finally came in, but my miss was like the same situation. Like we were in a ground blind, and this bird comes in all strutted up, and like I'm looking out the blind and it goes off to this side, and I'm like having to push the blind with my gun barrel, you know?
Yeah.
And my dad's like, he's right, he's in decoys, kill him, like kill him. And I'm like, ah!
Yeah, you're stressing.
Yeah.
Good thing you didn't shoot the decoys.
Yeah, dude. I just remember like pushing it just enough, and as soon as I saw the bird, I just pulled trigger.
Yeah.
You know, like definitely whiffed
Yeah,
on that.
you start
one.
getting amped up and stressing about other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally. It's like same thing with deer hunting. How many times you've been bow hunting and something happens right at the last second,
Right.
Yep.
to where you gotta, you just start rushing and then.
Yeah.
Dude, the older
Well,
I
you
get,
had that happen, didn't you?
Yeah, the one I killed this year, my
Yeah.
shoulder, like I don't know what happened to it. I mean, my shoulder's kind of going bad already.
right.
But my shoulder locked. I drew the bow back, and then it was like there was gears grinding in my shoulder, and I couldn't. You draw your bow back, and you go to just like that inch or whatever. You have to bring it up to your cheek.
Right.
I drew the bow back, and I couldn't rotate my shoulder.
Oh, really?
So I have an IQ sight on it, so it's got the retina lock thing, so you know when you're lined up. So I just like moved my head till it was lined up, and then shot. And at that point, it wasn't. If I would have taken my time, I would have smoked it.
Right.
But I shot it in the shoulder, and I killed it. But it was, I jumped it once, and then when we backed out, we finally found it. But
Right. Dude, the older I get, the worse my target panic gets. Well, I feel like
Really?
especially
Yeah.
with deer, dude. When I was a kid, I used to never even think about it. Like I would just put it right behind the shoulder, and boom.
Yeah.
Like I would just with my bow, with my gun, whatever. I'd always double lung them. Dude, the last several years, like I've really struggled with target panic. Like as soon as I'm on the deer, I'm like, fuck, don't mess this up, don't fuck this up. You know, like,
Yeah.
then I start getting all antsy and shit. You know, it's like it's getting bad.
I don't even think about it really anymore.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And I've heard like a bunch of people say like the longer you shoot, like the more likely it is to happen, you know. And it's
Yeah.
like you just have to figure out how to overcome it.
The worst I ever had, it wasn't even panic. This is why it pissed me off so bad, was because this deer, I grunted, I was on public, had a 4-pointer come in, and he starts hitting this scrape and acting like boss hog.
Right.
Walks down behind me, he's upwind of me. It's blowing like 30 miles an hour this day. He's straight upwind of me, and he turns around and just takes off hauling ass the other way. Then I look back and I see a giant bodied deer coming, and I'm like, all right, that's got to be something good.
Right.
And he's hitting this scrape under a holly tree, and he's on the other side of the holly tree, so I can't even tell what he's got for headgear.
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing like a little flash of antler here, so I'm like, that's a deer I'm probably going to shoot. So as soon as he started moving, I drew my bow back. He steps out. He's like 12 yards. I mean, this is like, I shoot out to 60 regularly, so then
Right.
when you do have that shot that's 20 yards or whatever, it feels
Yeah.
like it's 5 feet from you.
Yeah.
So I'm cool as a cucumber, dude. He comes out and I'm like, oh damn, that's a nice deer. Taking my time, and I shot, and my bottom cam hit the shooting rail on my climber.
Dude.
Jerked it, and I think it took some ass out of the shot too.
Right,
and I
it
shot
does.
it right in the shoulder, and that deer ran off. I found like 2 pin drops of blood, and that was it. But that was probably 140 inch 8-point.
Dude, that's like
That
my
was a big deer.
biggest fear when I hunt out of my climber is hitting that bottom that shooting rail.
Yeah.
You know, that is my biggest fear. I've seen it happen so many times on videos.
Every
man.
time I do this, I'm like
Yeah. Yep.
making sure.
Oh, dude! As soon as I get up and I get set, like I just draw my bow back just to make sure like everything's out of the way. You know.
It sucked too, because the year before I killed the one you and your dad
big
were
one.
hunting, but it was whatever.
No big deal. though.
But
It's whatever.
so the next
You guys
year,
suck.
I'd stepped foot on this property one time and shot that one deer the year before. The second time I was in there, I shot that one in the
Damn.
shoulder. But when it jumped, the cut looked like it was right in its armpit, and I was like, I smoked him.
Right.
Yeah.
And calling my buddy, I'm like, I did it again. I'm giving him
Talking all
shit.
that shit.
Yeah. And then I get down on my arrow. I'm looking for the arrow, and it's laying on the leaves. It's not punched into. I'm going,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
Yeah.
Little bit of hair and blood, or hair and like meat on the broadhead. That was it. It
Right.
didn't punch through that shoulder at all.
Yeah, that shoulder's tough, man. That thing, it's just weird because like sometimes that bone, and I guess it's just obviously deer to deer, but like sometimes that bone's not that thick and you can rock through that thing, and then sometimes it's like a steel plate, dude, and it goes in about 2 inches and done.
I mean, I'm not shooting heavy arrows or anything. I'm
Right,
shooting
right.
Rage Tripans and it's a
Yeah.
gold tip 340s maybe.
Yeah, the gold hunters or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get all into the arrow building thing either.
Now, well, I know some guys like that's when you do want a heavy arrow with
Right.
a fixed blade.
Yeah.
You know, even like a 2-blade.
I think fixed blades are always going to go through. I mean, mostly going to go through.
Yeah.
At least the first shoulder.
I mean, yeah,
From deer
That's all you need, though, is if you get in that cavity, it's a dead deer.
right. And there's obviously benefits to both.
Yeah.
You know, it's just depending on like how you like to shoot. Like every time I know like I can keep the right amount of inches behind that shoulder just to get through the rib cage and double lung him.
Yeah.
So I like an expandable because my wound is huge.
Yeah, of course.
You know, but if you know that you like to aim farther forward and you're most likely going to hit the shoulder, then you want to shoot.
But
a little
honestly,
heavier
there's no
arrow.
need to hold further forward.
Right.
You can back off that shoulder. Like, I'll back off like 6 or 7 inches.
Right.
That way you take that out of the game. Even if worst case scenario, you do go a little bit back, you still probably get one lung and liver.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a dead deer.
Yeah.
You might have to give him a little bit of time, but
Yeah, that's where I messed up this year. Is the one I shot. It was a little bit back, and the way he acted and everything, I was like, that had been pretty good. But it was one lung, liver, and gut. You know, and it was. And the hindsight is, I was pushing him the whole time I was trailing him, and I should have backed out. But we had blood the whole way. But he went like 2 miles.
I mean, sometimes you shoot one in the liver, dude. That thing will bleed like a stuck pig.
Right.
But it's just they just don't. It
gotta
takes
give
them a
them
little
time.
while.
Yeah, dude. When I shot this one, he ran like 60 yards and stopped, and I could literally hear the blood pouring to the ground. And when I went to where he stood in the field, it was a puddle like this big. You know, and I'm like, how did that thing not fall over?
A lot of times they won't go far too. If you do shoot one, it might run 100 yards and it's going to lay down. So
Right.
Yep.
find the closest thick cover it can find and then lay down.
Right.
Yeah.
And then people start trailing it, and I'm guilty of it. I did it on that one last year because, well, I didn't think it was a fatal shot to it. I thought I shot it in the leg. And, I mean, if I would have just let it lay there, it would have been 80 yards from me in standing corn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
So I
toughest
bumped
call to
it.
make, man. It
is.
It's a hard decision. You gotta.
And I don't want the animal to suffer. So
Right,
that's why
yeah.
I got down to try to put another arrow in it.
Exactly.
But
It's a tough call, man.
Looking back on it now, if I knew where I hit the deer and whatever, I would have let it lay down and
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the benefit to like filming hunts and stuff like that, is you can really like look back at it. But
yep.
the reason, I mean, I thought I smoked mine, and it was hot that night. It was one of those. It was the last week of October, and it was like one of those really weird warm nights. And I was like, I thought I hit it good. I had good blood for a while, and I was just trudging in there after him, you know. And then when it came time to decide if I wanted to back out or not, I'm like, man, if I back out, he's toast. The meat's going to be spoiled by the morning, you know. It's like, what do I do? But ultimately decided to back out because I wasn't making any ground on him, you know. And then I came back and found him the next day, but yeah, and he went like 2 miles. It's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, that one I shot, we went probably 400 yards, but it's because I bumped him.
And he died in the
Right.
field, right?
Yeah, so
corn.
I bumped him the first time, and then he was down in this like ditch, and I didn't think he'd get back out of it because you could hear him thrashing around down there. I didn't know I thought maybe he died down there on that run.
Yeah.
And then had a buddy come meet me there because I was like, I can't draw my bow again. My shoulder's shot.
Right.
So, yeah, he came met me, and then we walked down in there, and then we jumped him, and I heard it, and then we ran around the point, and then I'm looking, and we don't see him anywhere, so I'm like, damn, he got across that, because it was like a finger of woods, like a thick finger, and then cornfield, and then woods again, and I was like, man, he got across that quick. That's not good. Well, I didn't see him because he was dead. He died on that run.
Oh, gotcha.
So, because when we came back, I had to go to class that night, and then we came back, and right where we left off blood, I mean, he was 30 yards or something. So,
Yeah, it's tough, man. That's the tough part about it.
It sucks making a bad shot on that, but it's going to happen. Everyone who
Right,
bow
I mean,
hunts has done
dude.
it.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
You hunt long enough. I mean, everybody says all the time, you hunt long enough, shit's gonna happen. It's just
Yeah.
part of
Yep.
the game, man.
just learn from it.
Yeah,
human
That's
error.
what I always say.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's human error.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I said, like the older I get, the worse my target panic gets. It's just part of the game. You know, you
Yep.
just gotta figure it out. But
We're doing it now. I'm sure Indians were doing it back in the day, maybe
dude,
bad
for
shots
sure.
on them. So
for sure,
it's something.
that's why there was like 10 of them slinging arrows at one animal at a time, man.
Yeah,
Shit.
I'd like to go back to those days.
I'd like to just learn how to throw a spear. I'd just spear the shit out of stuff, dude.
I think spear some snakeheads.
That'd be fun. That'd be tight.
I would.
There's one dude I know. He speared a bear. I'm pretty sure.
Tim Wells?
Was it? Yeah, I was about to say it was Tim Wells.
No,
Slock
no, he
Master.
speared a bear up in Saskatchewan, I think.
Oh, a grizzly?
No, black bear.
Black bear. Yeah, that'd be cool. You ever watch the videos of the people that spear the pigs down in Florida?
Yeah.
My God, dude,
That's
that
wild.
seems. Yeah, you seen that?
I haven't.
So they're obviously they're killing wild
Yeah,
hogs,
of course.
right? And wild hogs are aggressive as hell. And they're down in Florida, like in the Everglades, and they go in the thick shit for them.
Really?
And yeah, they're in there like they're spearing them, like they're in there like trudging in after them with a spear and like
Like chasing them?
yeah,
Jeez.
dude, it's wild. Watch some of those YouTube videos. It's crazy.
God gave us guns for a reason.
Right.
I'm not using the spear.
Right.
There was a boy out at Camp Hope this year in Missouri. He took a kid out on youth day and had a hog charge him.
Oh
And he carries a sidearm, and a lot of the guys out there do. I didn't, but he ended up shooting it with a pistol.
right to the
Came
dome piece.
running up, and it died like 5 feet from him.
That's
It was
scary.
close. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they're mean. They don't back down. Well, my dad goes down to Alabama to hunt them, and he said the same thing. Like, he shot one night, and it ran in the woods, and the guy was like, go in after him. And I was like, I ain't going in there, dude.
No.
Yeah.
I saw
Shoot.
them one time out there. 'Cause they're there, but they're not. And we did see sign, like we saw where they're rooting and stuff.
Right.
But we did see one group of them. There was probably 15 of them, bunch of piglets and stuff. But the one sow was huge.
Right.
And we got to like 60 yards. We were going to try to sneak up on them and shoot them, but I'm like, I'm not shooting that thing with birdshot unless it's like 15 yards.
Right.
I'm just going to piss it
Just
off.
right to the
Yeah.
dome. Dude, so down in Alabama, they trap them. Like a lot of these states, they get them in these big like pen
Yeah.
traps, right? And then they
Yeah.
just walk up and shoot them all.
Yeah.
And down where my dad was in Alabama, that's what they do too. And my dad has a video of literally him shooting one from me to you away through the cage in the head with a pistol, and it just eats it. It ate 2 shots, and then he came back and put a third one in him in the face all 3 times. Yeah, dude, it was
Tough.
wild. It was wild.
I don't even know if I could do that. I think I'd feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. I mean, they're such a nuisance down there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like trapping up here for raccoons and stuff.
Right. Yeah, my dad said it was a little tough. Like, one night he had like a big sow come in and he shot it, but it had a bunch of piglets with it. And the guy was like, shoot all the piglets. I was like, I can't do that, man.
Yeah.
I can't.
Especially being a dad.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do that. They're just little tiny pigs. I'm like, I get that. I probably wouldn't be able to do it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they down there, they're just angry at them.
ruthless.
Yeah, they hate them, man. And then this year too, I sent you the video, and I meant to send it to you too, but my dad's buddy that lives down there was turkey hunting, and he's like, "Look what I came across." And you couldn't see it, but you could hear it. It was an alligator.
That was crazy.
It was so loud, dude. Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, that's no alligators for me.
Yeah, he was like, I guess there was birds roosted down around like the edge of a pond or like a swamp down there, and he went down in after him, and he could hear it before he even saw it or got close to it. So he sent a video, and yeah, like it was loud.
The
as
thing
shit,
sounded
dude.
huge.
Yeah, it sounded scary, man.
I got the hell out of there.
Me
Yeah, I
too.
would have turned the other way. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, no
But-
thanks, dude. But another story, and I thought you would appreciate this, is my buddy Alex turkey hunts his farm in Delaware, and he had a crazy hunt this year. He had a big tom working, and he had hens come in first, and he had I think he said he had 8 or 10 hens come in with the tom, and the tom stayed just too far out of range for him to shoot. But he said he literally watched it for 2 hours just breed all the hens.
Really?
Just one hen right from one to the next. Yeah. He said
They're
it was
going
wild.
down the hierarchy.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, damn, that. I knew you would appreciate that. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
wild. He's like, dude, it was the craziest thing I ever saw. Like, he would get on one hen, do his business, and a couple minutes later, he would get right to the next one.
So what I didn't
Warmed
know
up.
too was they can actually, so one hen can breed once, and this is NWTF stuff. Like this is from the biologist there. They can get bred once, and then still, if they have a failed clutch or whatever you want to call it, they can still breed again. They have a way of holding
Oh, they can
in
go
the-
back into heat, I guess.
yeah, but with the being bred one time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So,
So it
somehow
can fail and
they're
they still
storing
get
the
pregnant. Is that what you're?
yeah, like
So
somehow
if
they're storing the sperm to
yeah,
fertilize
exactly.
it. Wow,
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that till this year. I just read it.
that's pretty wild. That man, they're so cool. I've said it 3 times this podcast, but they're so cool, dude.
Yeah.
There's
Just
that's just nature's way of figuring out how to
adaptation, dude.
Right,
I mean,
how
they
to like
just
continue
adapted.
to survive. Like they know they need to breed and have poults. And it's
Yeah.
just like the
I mean,
body
it's
is adapted to like figure out like, okay, if it fails this time, like what do we do?
Yeah.
You know, and it's crazy.
Motherly instinct is,
Yeah.
I mean, in all nature and everything is like what keeps everything going.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like a fawn. Like, how have you ever had a doe like come charging out or something when you're walking through the woods? When
Oh.
there's a fawn.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, a fawn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you didn't have that, I mean, hens you see all the time. You can look up videos of raccoons and possums coming up to the nest while the hen's sitting on them. They'll sit there and, I mean, they'll have a battle to the death
Right.
to protect those eggs.
Do the hens have spurs?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
I found a dead hen yesterday.
Oh,
Did
did
you?
you?
Yeah, and I think it was garden nest, and something got it.
On
Really?
public?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and some high grass.
That sucks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
It happens a lot. I mean,
I mean,
can't
man,
remember
without
what the
spurs, like,
percentages are.
what do they do? Just peck the shit out of them?
Smack
Kick 'em.
them with their wings and
Wings.
stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll see them. They'll like hens will strut too.
Right.
Like I'm
Yeah.
surprised that one that was gobbling didn't strut, but they'll. I did have a hen come in one time full strut.
Wow.
And just they have a smaller fan, and obviously they don't have the colors to their heads and
Right.
But they will strut and like kind of show. It makes them look bigger,
Bigger. Right.
bigger, dominant. So they'll like put their wings out and stuff when predators come up, and you can see all these. Like NWTF has great stuff. You can see videos of them guarding a nest, and when a raccoon or a possum comes up or something like that, and then they'll stick their wings out and make it look big. It's more intimidating.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I wonder if they go for the eyes, like those sandhill cranes that people are hunting now.
Yeah, they'll peck.
They go
peck
right for the eyes.
Yeah.
Like that's why the dogs wear those goggles.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if a turkey does the same thing.
Possible.
It would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, especially for a hen, it'd be like that'd be like the first move. I feel like
Yeah.
"Bitch, I'm gonna get your eyes, bitch.
Kick them in
You're
the
not gonna
balls.
see these eggs.
Just leave my eyes alone."
Yeah. No, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they're cool, man. There it is, number 4. They're cool animals.
Yeah.
Man.
You didn't even hunt them this year.
I didn't even hunt them. I love them though, dude. Like I just love everything about turkeys and turkey hunting.
Yeah.
Like I am sad that I didn't get to go this year, but again, like I don't put any time in on public anymore. But my private spot, I mean, you know where it is.
Yeah.
Like during the wintertime, like we were holding some gobblers, and like early spring, a couple moved through, but that was
Yeah.
really it.
Yeah.
You know, there's just not a lot in that area yet.
Now I always say if you have them in the fall, you're probably not gonna have them in the spring.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you have it's like over in Jersey and there's 100 of them in a field
Right.
in the fall. You're probably gonna have 1 or 2 hanging around in the spring.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Jersey's always so crazy with how many they do have over there. Like I mean, you drive on the turnpike or whatever, and like you see them everywhere.
that's why I
like,
told
in
you the
all
one.
fields.
Me and my dad were going up to a concert to see John Mellencamp,
Right,
and we
right.
were going up to Newark, New Jersey, and a gobbler flew right across the turnpike.
Yeah, dude, their population
High,
is
I mean,
crazy
It
over
was
there.
up there too.
It's crazy.
And like the way their hunting works, and I think we talked about it a little bit, is crazy too. My buddy killed one over there this year.
Like the weekly thing. Is that what you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah, it's A, B, C. D is the last 2 weeks of the season, and then E is every Saturday of the season, and
Oh.
then F is fall.
And are you allowed one bird or 2?
No, it's per tag.
Wait, so you
could
can kill one on a Saturday for the whole year?
Yeah,
Is that
so
what that means?
Yeah, so it, like, you can apply when you apply for tags. You have 2 that you apply for. Say I apply for A and B first 2 weeks of the season.
Okay.
If you get them, then they have like a period where you can claim your tags until like March 20 something. I don't know.
Okay.
And then you can go back in and buy over the counter tags. So you could buy like every other week of the season
Yeah.
to hunt. So like me and my dad both, we had times where we had every single tag you could get for that season.
Were you filling them?
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we did. There was a few years there we did some damage.
I bet it's crazy over there. The population is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen any? Did you see any bears while you were over there hunting, or were you not in that part?
No, we're in South Jersey, like Woodstown area.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know how far down the bears came, but I know that
Yeah.
they're a nuisance up there too.
Up north.
Yeah.
Northern New Jersey,
Yeah.
which is also crazy because when I think New Jersey, I just think of cities.
Yeah, me too.
But a lot
Yeah,
of
I mean, you go to South Jersey, it's all farmland.
Farmland, yeah.
This is another thing too. Is I don't understand why there's so many turkeys there, but if you go to like Earlville, Cecilton, Warwick area, it's the same exact habitat as there is over there.
Yeah.
But there's 25 times more turkeys over there.
Yeah,
Sweet.
I don't know what it is. Maybe the predation's not as bad. I don't know.
I
would think it's the same,
It's worse
but-
over there
Yeah,
because they have a lot
they
more
got coyotes and stuff.
They have
Yeah.
a lot more of them over there. I've seen a mom with pups over there,
Oh, really?
and the pups scurried back in the den, and the mom was barking and kind of. It was like she was dragging us away from the den.
Pulling you away.
And
Yeah.
the same thing as that turkey
Yeah.
the other day. That's what made me kind of think of it. And she was barking. It sounded like a dog,
Yeah.
and she was barking and kind of just dragging us away from them.
Makes sense. I've never seen one while hunting, but the first time I ever had experience with coyotes was out in Western Maryland at night, like right before we're getting
Yeah.
in the tent, and you just hear them all howling and barking and stuff. I'm like, holy shit! These things gonna eat me tonight or what?
We had one walking down where it was a peach orchard over in Jersey, and we're walking down this peach orchard, and I saw something to my side, and you know when it's dark out, and you can't really judge speed and stuff that good because you can't see.
Yeah.
And I see something, I'm like, man, that's moving, and
Yeah.
I stopped, and it came and circled behind me, which was downwind,
Okay.
and then it started coming at me.
Yeah.
So I stopped. My dad kept walking. I just turned around, threw the gun up,
Yeah.
and then once it got downwind, it took off and ran off. And he was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Freaking coyote right there!" I mean, it was like 10 yards from me. It just circled right around us, got
Yeah, it's
downwind, and then
coming for you,
once it smelled us, I guess it knew
Right.
like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I can't take that on," and ran off.
Damn.
I don't know if I talked about it in the last one either, but I've also had a really crazy black bear experience out of West Maryland.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't tell you the story. So,
I don't think so.
we were obviously it's all camping up there. So me and my buddy Alex were camping, and this was like the first year we were up there. And my dad was like, you might see a bear. I'm like, cool. I'm like the whole time, I'm like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we saw a bear? And like the park rangers come up, and I'm like talking to them and stuff. And they're like, you don't really see them this time of year. Like if you do, it's rare. They're just starting to come out of their dens and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that night it poured rain. Like poured so hard that we couldn't even sleep in the tent because the water was just like leaking through like crazy.
Oh, wow.
So we ended up just sleeping in the Jeep that I was driving, and it poured all night long. And like in the middle of the night, I remember just like I felt the car move, but I wasn't sure. And I like kind of like woke up and looked out the window, and this bear looking right at me through the window. And I'm like,
I freaked out.
and like he gets down, and my buddy
Wait,
Alex
he was on the window?
yeah, my buddy Alex is sleeping next to me. I'm like, Alex, there's a bear out there. He's like, no, there's not, man. No, there's not. And like, he goes right back to sleep like, immediately. And I could feel it like jump up on the car and other areas too. But at the same time, it was like pouring rain. I'm like, maybe I was just like, delusional or whatever. So the next morning we get up, and I'm like, dude, you remember that bear last night? He's like, there wasn't a bear. And we like get out, we're getting changed and stuff, and I closed the Jeep door right on the driver's window where I was. Two
Scratches.
big old paw
Holy
prints. Yeah, from the
shit.
mud. Two big ones. That thing was literally on the window looking right in at us. And then it went around the back, and there was paw prints on the back window. Then it went around the front, and there was paw prints on the hood. Yeah,
Dude, that's
and
terrifying.
it took all of our. We had the garbage hanging. It took
Yeah.
the bag and everything. We found it like 100 yards behind camp. We found all the cans. It all had holes in them where it was biting and licking. And
So he was watching you guys sleep.
he was, yeah. He came out to figure out what we were. Dude, it was crazy. I remember like just being half asleep and that thing on the window. I'm like, what the? And I'm like, Alex, there's
Did
a
you
bear
freak
out there.
out though?
I mean, like, I was when I first saw it. I was like I said, it was like I felt delusional. Like I was still sleepy.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like groggy. I'm like, is this real? But then I could feel it going around. So like then after a while, I was just sitting there. Like took me forever to go back to sleep.
I just started punching Alex. Get him the fuck up.
Well, for the rest of the week in the tent, we just kept the shotgun in there just in case.
Say, I'd have been
You
sitting
could blow
there
the
like
window
this every night.
We kept it. We were like at this big tent, and we had two cots in there, and we kept it right in the middle just in case whoever got up first needed to grab it.
Yeah, I mean, I think next year out in Missouri, I'm bringing a sidearm or something because all these guys are telling me, oh, well, there's mountain lions not far from here too, and I'm like,
Oh, dude, I wouldn't even. Yeah, I
like,
would.
don't even tell me
100%
that
have
shit.
a
Like, I'm
pistol.
walking out in the dark now, and I'm terrified. Saw a
dude.
bobcat. I'm like, that's big enough for me. I don't need anything bigger.
I seen a video of that bobcat. Those guys are like yelping or whatever, and that bobcat like charges them, dude. Thinks it's a turkey until
Yeah.
it gets like from media away and it hits the brakes, you know.
I mean, shoot.
Yeah, I mean that was cool because I've never seen a bobcat before or anything. Hope I never see a mountain lion. Don't care if I ever do see one.
Yeah, mountain lion's like one of those things. Like you hope you never see one because if you see one, it might be too late.
That's what I just hate with big cats like that is they're so quiet
Right.
that you have no idea they're even there or they're looking at you and they can still rip your face off.
Yeah.
Mountain lions are the scariest thing ever, dude. Like that is one thing that terrifies me. I hope I never see one because you're right. Like they're so quiet and they stalk you for the longest time.
That's what's creepy to me.
Right. And then like you can't run from them because they're way faster than you are, you
Yeah.
know, and they'll just maul the shit out of you, dude. Whew.
I think I could take one.
I'd be throwing a lot of punches.
It might get a couple licks in on me.
Ugh.
You'd be giving him
The problem is like I feel like it's going right for your throat.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
you know
got
what I mean?
jiu-jitsu on him.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm putting that thing. Rear naked
Rear
choke.
naked choke,
You out,
bro.
bitch.
I'm running. I'm letting you fight.
Thanks, man.
Like, damn, pick me up.
It's like eating. I'm like, go, buddy.
All you gotta
Go.
do is be faster than the person you're with.
Exactly.
And you'll be all right.
My buddy Kenny, he's a little bit bigger, and I'm like, we were just talking there. He's like, look, dude, you ever see me running? You know it's bad. You better also be running. You see me running. It's like, all right, fair enough.
No mountain lions for me. Count me out. That
No.
snakes.
Yeah. So what's next for you, man? You start crabbing yet?
Not yet. Soon. I know a bunch of my buddies are already crabbing down the bay and everything, but I'll probably set June 20th,
Okay.
roughly around there.
And
Depends.
that starts like south from here. You start south from here down like
I'll
Chester
start, like,
River.
Still pond up.
Oh, really? That early?
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be good, but
Right.
it's,
Yeah.
market's holding out right now. It's looking good for now.
Right.
I'm sure they'll tank the market as soon as any kind of crabs come on, but
Yeah.
yeah.
This might be a dumb question because I feel like I know the answer to it, but I can't think of it right now. Commercial guys can't keep females, right?
No, we can.
Oh, you can.
There's limits though.
Okay.
Yeah, there's bushel limits for certain times of the year. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what it is right now, but
Right.
it changes in like August or September.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I wasn't sure.
yeah.
But-
That's another one. They can breed. They can get bred once and then sponge up more than one time.
Wow.
That's pretty
Crabs
cool.
can, but
Yeah.
they only breed one time.
Huh.
So everyone that says why you keep females, you're killing the population or whatever, they
Yeah.
breed one time. If you catch a female crab that's black and rusty and everything, that crab is done breeding. It did its thing. It's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: when they sponge up, does that sponge stay there until the eggs hatch, or do they drop that off somewhere?
That is the eggs. That orange sponge that comes out and then it turns darker, I guess.
Right.
That is the eggs. And
So
then
does it stay on them until they hatch?
Yeah, they just kind of release them.
Okay.
From my understanding, is they release them and then they'll kind of go adrift and they're
Right.
like a larvae.
Yeah, I got
Whatever
you.
you call it.
I just wasn't sure if they were kind of like a fish where they'll like make a bed and like release
No.
the sponge into the bed, you know?
No, because that's one of my things. Another theory I have is, you think of the times when we have big northwest winds in the fall or whatever, or even it could be any time of year, but you get these blowout tides where the water's getting blown out for a couple days at a time.
Yeah.
The crabs are so cyclical. You can have horrible years, and then all of a sudden the next year is the best year we've ever had. So I think a lot of it is the breeding. When a majority, you have a big peeler run up here, say female peeler run,
Yeah.
they all get bred and they start working back down the bay. They go down the bay, release their eggs. If you have northwest winds and shitty tides and it blows everything out in the ocean, they go adrift and they all die, get eaten, whatever.
Yeah.
Then obviously you're not going to have the success rate
Yeah.
that you had, or that could be. But if everything lines up perfect to where the eggs and everything don't get blown offshore and do all that, I think that's when you get those crazy years where there's 800 million crabs in the bay.
Right.
That's my theory on it.
It's a good theory. Yeah, I never
Because when you
thought
look-
about it like
when
that.
you look at, like, one female can lay like a million eggs.
Holy crap!
One
I also
female.
did not know that.
Obviously, they have a super high mortality rate.
Right.
But you think of how many females? I don't think they put the dredge report out from this year yet. But like last year, I think it was like 400 million total crabs in the bay or something. So you figure half of that is females.
Right.
I mean that's a lot of eggs getting out there.
Yeah, that's true.
But then you got predators, blue cats,
Right, the
rockfish,
cats.
red drum,
Yeah.
channel cats eat them too. Everything eats crabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we don't have the grass in the upper bay like we used to.
Yeah.
There goes your
Everything's
high-
going against them.
For juvenile rockfish too,
Right.
baby crabs, everything. They hide in that grass when they're little.
Right.
We don't have that anymore. It doesn't take rocket science to figure it out why
Yeah.
you start at the bottom of the food chain whenever you have problems like that.
Yeah.
Grass
Yeah,
is in there,
unfortunately.
everything's kind of going downhill.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man. It sucks. But, well, cool, man. I appreciate you coming on. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. You're a great dude, and I appreciate you coming on, talking turkeys and all this stuff. And hopefully crabbing season goes a lot better for you than turkey season
I
did.
hope so. I hope I get to go.
Right.
Yeah.
So, just real quick, when you start that, are you working full-time doing something else?
I'll work like 3 days a week crabbing and then 3 days a week at the marina working on boats.
Okay. All right, cool. And again, if people want to get crabs from you, where do they go?
Bay Crawlers Crab Shack,
Bay Crawlers.
Northeast
Crab Shack.
Maryland.
Well, cool. I'll be hitting you up because I'll buy them directly from you.
Don't tell Freddie.
If you're listening, Freddie,
was
just
a joke.
ignore that. It was a joke. But now, cool. Let's wrap it up. Thanks again, Hunter. I really appreciate it,
Thank
man.
you.
You're a great dude.
Appreciate it.
And Mason, you got anything else before I close it out?
No, I just appreciate Hunter coming on.
Cool. All right. We'll see you later.